chairman. Welcome, everyone. Glad you could all be here today. Wish, again, that we were all together in person, but I think this format is the best we can do for now, and at least I think it helps out with participation. So welcome to those of you who've been to a previous Energy Storage Committee meeting. Welcome back. And for those who are first timers, we're glad to have you here. I am John Hilbert, the CEO of Vanitec. We're going to have a good panel today of folks to give an insights onto the situation for the RFB in the US, as well as a market update. Word from Mike Woolery on the recyclability of vanadium, and then a marketing update as always. After this Zoom call ends, we'll send out separately an invitation for a survey on what you thought of the webinar and how we can improve both these meetings as well as what we're doing in general. So let me just walk you through a couple of quick slides here. First is too hard to read, but it's our antitrust policy. All the slides for today have been reviewed by legal counsel so that they only relate to historical pricing. We will not have discussions today about price to meet US and EU antitrust safe harbor guidelines. No discussions on pricing, lease conditions, fee for services. I'll be monitoring things, so please be cognizant of that in terms of, we know that the panelists have already had their presentations reviewed, but in the Q&A, we will not allow questions that will not meet antitrust guidelines. So please note that as we move forward. I'm going to turn things over to the chairman of the Vanitec Energy Storage Committee, Mikhail Nikimorov. So Mikhail, go ahead.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you everybody for joining this session. This is, I think, like now the 9th session that we've had, and I think the 3rd one that we've done virtually due to the COVID pandemic. We've seen some benefits of doing it virtually, the ability to actually record these and then have the content available later on for access at any point. And the other benefit is that I think some people who may not have been able to join in person have had an opportunity to kind of join virtually, which I think has kind of opened us up to maybe a broader range of stakeholders and people to engage with. What we've also been doing is actually using these webinars to focus a bit more on certain regions. And if you look at the agenda, that's part of what we have today. So I'll spend just a few minutes, kind of an overview of Vanitec and the webinar for today in the Energy Storage Committee, which is the subcommittee within Vanitec that organizes this. We talked about China in the last webinar, which was in January, and based upon the really positive feedback from that, we decided to focus on another region. The U.S. market is the largest storage market in the world at the moment, and so we have representatives from three companies heavily engaged in developing that market and developing the technology in there. And so each of them will do a presentation, and then we'll actually have time also for a virtual Q&A panel. As John mentioned, and something that we do every single time is we want to provide an update on the vanadium market. That's what the V in Vanitec is about, and I think that is something that everybody appreciates quite a bit. We also have a section on the recyclability of electrolytes in the batteries, and then we will also have a few items around our activities on marketing and promoting the sustainability aspect of the technology, and then we'll close off. And if all goes well, we'll finish within the 2.5 hours that we have scheduled for this. Move forward. So let's just a quick introduction on Vanitec. Certainly our objective is to promote vanadium. We are the only not-for-profit international global member association whose objective is to promote the use of vanadium bearing materials. That is not only kind of various metal alloys, but also chemicals and energy storage, specifically the use of vanadium in storage. The members of Vanitec benefit by the organization representing the interests of its members in technical, market development, and health and safety environmental issues. And it's a forum really for collaboration to understand and promote the uses of vanadium at a global level. And you can see how this webinar is an example of that, specifically on the storage side. Our membership is quite global. We've got members all across the world. Many of them are producers of vanadium. Some are companies that are looking to start to produce. And then we have a few companies focused on the energy storage sector as well. And as you can see, it is quite diverse across regions, and I think that does speak to our mindset as well. It's not a regional; it's a global association. So we have three subcommittees. One, which is the one that's kind of hosting the webinar here, which is energy storage. Our focus is at the moment on vanadium redox flow batteries, which are the most dominant technology using vanadium in storage. But that's just one of the subcommittees within Vanitec. We have a market development committee more focused on the use of vanadium in steel and other types of alloys. And then the third one we have, which is actually where most of our resources are spent, and that is our Health, Safety, Environmental Committee, HSE. All of these committees have regular meetings, have membership, and perform various work streams that are funded by Vanitec overall. On top of that, we've also got administration meetings and finance, and you've already met John, who is the CEO of Vanitec. If you are interested, Vanitec membership is basically open to anyone that has some association with vanadium. Vanadium producers and converters basically pay the brunt of the dues based upon their production volumes. However, we have associate memberships available for those who are not current producers or converters. There are associate membership dues for Vanitec if you want to produce vanadium at some point. So exploration companies, junior miners would be involved in there, for example. At the same time, if you do not expect to produce vanadium and your interest is more in, let's say, chemical manufacturing or battery producer or research, then the membership dues are actually half of that. Now, we want to increase the amount of members we have in the Energy Storage Committee, specifically for battery companies. As a result, we've kind of even reduced that nominal membership fee to $2,500 if you're interested. Members do receive a lot of the benefits that the full members get in terms of having access to some of the information that Vanitec puts out and stores. We've got a massive website with a lot of information. We share publications on vanadium, and obviously there's also an ability to steer where the ESC focuses attention and resources. And there's some data that we collect ourselves as well in terms of vanadium production, which I think is also quite important. There's no need to share anything proprietary. So this is just a way to actually be part of something that I think enables the success of the technology and obviously of vanadium in the long term. So if you have interest in membership, let us know. Now, in terms of the current priorities of the ESC, we did a survey in 2017 to kind of align on where we should be focusing. So earlier this year, we decided to update that, and you'll see the results on the right. So there's quite a few answers. So we took the liberties to kind of consolidate those. But basically, the four largest ones were around. We should be talking about how the vanadium redox flow battery technology compares to other types of ESS. So most of the people there who voted, are looking for the comparisons to lithium. But I think there's also others who were thinking about how we compare to non-lithium technologies, especially maybe non-battery technologies that might be more focused on long duration. And then the other one is to track the rollout of vanadium redox flow batteries, specifically sharing successful case studies And then there's some data accumulation that we've been doing as well. We've got a map of battery installations. While incomplete, I think it's probably the most robust one that is out there. We do a lot around promotion of VRFBs, and I think that's appreciated. That is where a lot of that kind of marketing resources is done, and I think that was also something that people have asked us to support. And then the last one I think is also quite important, and maybe not surprising, in the sense that there's a lot of emphasis nowadays about sustainability and ESG. So the people who voted here were looking for what we're doing around the lifetime footprint of the battery and the kind of the assessments that we've been doing there, and likewise the recyclability of the electrolyte itself. And you can see that, you know, a lot of the topics that are here today cover that. Cover these things. So thank you for those who participated in that survey. That does help, you know, reinforce what our areas are, and maybe allocate some of our resources more appropriately. Some have mentioned also what we should be doing on regulatory support, but given that there's now a flow battery association springing up in Europe, you know, maybe that's not the you know, there are others who can kind of hold the baton for that. So that's kind of it for the intro. Let's get into the content. As I've mentioned, we've got 3 excellent presenters from companies that are heavily involved in the U.S. market to give us some insight around what is happening in the market and what they're doing in terms of the re-explode battery technology. From there, from Infinity Energy, we will have Matt Harper to speak. From Largo Clean Energy, we will have Salvatore speak, and then from Module, we've got Greg as well. I thank you very much for everyone's time on this, and I look forward to the presentations. And just as a reminder, after that, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. If you do have them, you can write them in the I guess, John, in the chat, and we'll address some of those as time allows after the individual presentations.
Yeah, actually, if people would please use the Q&A function, not the chat, for any questions. That way our panelists can see them. Just a quick couple of housekeeping things.